Yeah! What's going on, everybody? West Side MMA here. And we finally got the patch I've been waiting for. 1.05, aka patch number 4, I believe. And this patch has 3 new fighters once again. Michael Chiesa, Hector Lombard, which both of them are in this fight right here, which is a good example. And last but not least, the guy I've been waiting for. The one guy I've been waiting for to complete my game experience, Diego Sanchez. Now, I've used them all a few times, and my opinion on each fighter is Hector Lombard's good. He's slow. He looks funny, which, I mean, kind of looks funny in real life, but he's got the strong hooks, which I don't like. He doesn't lunge, and it's hard to kind of strike with him. So the 2 times that I used him, I pretty much took it to the ground to the fight. I took the fight to the ground like I just did here, and as you'll see, I pretty much worked the ground game and finished the fight. And I finished. I used him 2 times, and I finished both fights the same way. So he's good. Diego Sanchez. I think he could be rated better. He's an 89. I think they should have made him at least a 90. I know he's not the greatest fighter, but his stand-up feels good, and I don't really have too many complaints about him, except for some of his ground stats and stuff should be a little bit better. And I wish he had that overhand. He has the stupid hook that never lands. He doesn't have the overhand, which sucks. And Michael Chiesa, I used him. He's nice and tall and lanky for the lightweight division. He's even taller and lankier than Nate Diaz, so he's a good guy to use if you're, constantly fighting Nate Diaz. And right here is me using Michael Chiesa, and as you'll see, this fight is really quick. But this patch feels excellent. The stamina freeze when you go for a takedown, like how when you go for a takedown, if your opponent stops it, the stamina freezes, and for you for a few seconds, like I'd say 2 seconds, and it kind of a good example of how to use it is my opponent shot for a takedown, I stop it, his stamina was already pretty low, so his stamina froze, and then I went for a takedown immediately and I got it. And that's kind of a good way. If he goes for a takedown and you stop it, you have a chance to get an easy takedown, which is pretty good. Hopefully it won't be like done too much, but it's one of those strategic things that you have to do. That the person gets rewarded for stopping the takedown, and the other person gets, I guess, punished for not getting their takedown. So that's that. For the striking, how they made it, like if you throw 4 hooks in a row, after that 4th hook, each punch after that drains your stamina like double that it normally would, which is good. How does it feel? I feel so far it feels good. I don't have too much to say about it besides it is a great improvement over the spamming, but that's that's good. Takedowns still feel pretty good, where if someone throws a leg kick and they miss it and then you go for a takedown, it's pretty much an automatic takedown, which is what they meant to do in that last patch, where if you throw counter leg kicks and counter kicks in general, if they throw a kick and they miss it, then the takedown's there. Ground game feels really good. Transitioning and stopping transitions, it all feels pretty good. But I mean, it's still not fluid. I don't think they can make it fluid just because of how they made the ground game. It's not ever going to be as fluid as UFC 3. Where you can kind of. The thing about UFC 3 was in all the UFCs except for the second, 2010, 2009 also did this, where the transition method is the same. With the stick, quarter turn on the stick, but in the UFC 3, when you would go to the right or the left, and then you would slowly start to spin the stick, the guy would move with you, so you could fake transition one way, and that was great. That's what made it obviously the best ground game ever, is because the game would work with the right stick as you would transition. as you would spin the stick, your guy would transition. In this game, it's you do the motion and then your guy does the thing. It's more like pressing a button, per se. So technically, this game could have it. What the transitions kind of should be in this game, if the striking was on the stick, was pretty much just point to the direction you go and then press a button to transition, because that's pretty much all it is. And then, you know, denials are just pointing the right stick in one direction. So, you know, it's whatever. And then last but not least, the submissions. They didn't really say they were doing too much of the submissions. I think, you know, they kind of messed with the stamina and whatnot on the last patch. And from that last patch, I really didn't get any submissions. And now for this one, I've been trying to get submissions where my opponent's stamina is all the way down, my stamina is pretty much all the way up, and I still can't really get a submission. At that point, if your opponent's stamina is all the way down, it should be almost an instant submission, kind of like how it was in UFC 3, where if you're playing simulation and your opponent's stamina was down, it was nearly impossible to, you know, not get submitted. I mean, the submission would have. So that's one thing. That's probably the only thing that I want to see in the next patch. They need to do a submission patch, because the submissions, you know, if I go in there and I use not only people like Jacare, because Jacare is a good fighter, but someone like Damian Maia, who isn't as good of a fighter in the stand-up category, or Joe Lozon or someone like that, that, you know, without their submissions, they're not really useful. Damian Maia is a great example. I mean, I'm not putting him down or anything. He's one of my favorite fighters, but without his submission skill, he's not much of a fighter. I mean, his jiu-jitsu, his submissions are his, you know, way of fighting. So you need to be able to use that. You need to be able to take the fight to the ground and, you know, use your jiu-jitsu, and you need to be able to, you know, fight for a submission, if that's, you know, what you need to do. So that's that. This patch is looking pretty good so far, but more videos to come. Much more videos to come, as long as this patch, you know, helps the game become playable again. Until next time, Westside MMA out.